It's 2007, and Ottawa Senators centre Antoine Vermette is lining up at centre ice for the rarest of hockey moments, a penalty shot, in Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Staring him down from the other end of the ice is Anaheim Ducks goaltender Sebastian Giguere, or Giggy to the Ducks faithful. Giggy was a Ducks lifer and fan favourite, but he'd been here before, losing with the original purple and teal Mighty Ducks to the New Jersey Devils in 2003. But this time, dressed in black and gold, he was ready to hoist Lord Stanley's Cup.
Never has either been involved in one of these in the playoffs.
With the Ducks leading the game 5-2 and ahead 3-1 in the series, this was Ottawa's last chance. So as Antoine Vermette circles the puck and picks it up, the whole of Honda Center held its breath. But let's pause it right there. This all feels a bit familiar. Let's rewind to 1992. And the Mighty Ducks find themselves in another championship game, this time against their long-hated rivals, the Hawks. With the game tied in the final second, it's the Ducks who are awarded a penalty shot, the responsibility falling to team captain Charlie Conway. 2 different penalty shots, 2 different championships, but one team. In 1992, the Walt Disney Company released The Mighty Ducks. The film tells the story of a ragtag youth hockey team in Minnesota struggling under the leadership of Gordon Bombay, a lawyer who's sentenced to coach them as part of his community service. The film was critically panned, but it defied expectations to become an enduring cult classic. But wait, how do we go from a fictional 1992 Disney movie to the very real 2007 Stanley Cup? Well, buckle your skates, tape up your stick and wipe down your visor, because this is the improbable journey of how Disney's Mighty Ducks went from movie screens to the Stanley Cup Finals. But first, we need to go back, way before the Ducks even hatched.
I've always enjoyed taking businesses or things that have really been undervalued, overlooked, not people they haven't taken the attention or the care, and try to make something out of it.
In 1988, coin collector Bruce McNall purchased the remaining shares in the Los Angeles Kings to become the majority owner. With the promise of making the Kings a Stanley Cup contender, McNall orchestrated one of the most iconic moments in hockey history, the 1988 acquisition of Wayne Gretzky from the Edmonton Oilers. The deal was less of a traditional trade and more of a purchase, as McNall paid $15 million, a sum that could nearly buy a team at the time, and included a few players to make it look legit. McNall set about making the Kings a premier franchise, embarking on a full rebrand to welcome the Great One to California. New jerseys, new logo, new everything. He even went as far as purchasing a private plane for the team to travel in, which is a rarity in an era when most NHL teams flew commercial. McNall was unconventional, shaking up a league that refused to change. Hockey had landed in Hollywood, as kids across America started asking for rollerblades and street hockey sets for Christmas. Caught up in the excitement of the LA Kings was film writer Stephen Brill. By day, he would work on an exciting new script about a kids hockey team, and by night, he'd pay $5 to see Gretzky from the cheap seats at Great Western Forum. Inspired, Brill finished his script in 6 months. Meanwhile, the NHL was in trouble. It's the middle of the 10-day 1992 NHL Strike, and the ice is empty at the Minnesota North Stars Met Center in Bloomington, Minnesota. Only 2 players are strapped up ready for action, North Stars main attraction Mike Modano and enforcer Basil McRae. But instead of sticks, they're holding scripts, readying themselves for cameo scenes in Disney's The Mighty Ducks, which was on its final block of filming in Minnesota. But they weren't exactly prepared to make their big screen debut.
Hey, Gordo. Gordon Bombay, right?
You remember me?
Sure, from Pee-wee's. This guy used to rule in Pee-wee's.
McRae fractured his ankle and it was so swollen he couldn't put his skates on, meaning he had to borrow a teammate's skates who wore a size 12. Modano, on the other hand, had a different problem.
Oh yeah? I heard you're a farmer.
He couldn't act. After Modano fumbled his way through the first few lines of North Stars Player 1, they switched roles. McRae would have the bigger part, even if he could barely stand up on the ice. The film was completed and released in October 1992. And slowly made its way to cult classic status. Effectively inspired by the Gretzky trade, Stephen Brill's The Mighty Ducks was a box office smash, grossing over $50 million domestically in 1992. Coincidentally, the same season Gretzky's Kings made the Stanley Cup Finals. From Hollywood to the Forum, hockey fever was sweeping Los Angeles. And this was incredibly important to the NHL. See, The Mighty Ducks movie and Gretzky's Kings both landed in a time where the NHL was having an identity crisis, emerging from its first player strike in 67 years. With a damaged reputation and desperate to capture a younger audience to grow the game, NHL executives were looking for anything that could generate the same fan excitement as the San Jose Sharks' debut in 1991. Armed with a cartoon shark logo and the fashionable teal colorway borrowed from the Charlotte Hornets in 1988, Sharks merchandise exploded as a top seller in their inaugural year. And so, with the Mighty Ducks movie franchise taking flight and Wayne Gretzky's Kings lighting a fire in Los Angeles, the NHL looked for a new expansion team to capture the imaginations of kids across America. In 1992, as the Mighty Ducks was breaking VHS rental records and Gretzky was navigating the Kings through the NHL playoffs, just 3 miles east of Disneyland in Anaheim, a new arena was under construction. The arena would sit across the highway from Anaheim Stadium, home of the Rams and Angels. Clearly, it desperately needed an NHL or NBA team to remain financially viable. So they began negotiations with the Clippers and even Mike Modano's Minnesota North Stars, but nothing stuck. Back at the Forum, the unconventional Bruce McNall, now promoted to commissioner on the NHL Board of Governors, was looking to grow the game with youngsters, and this new, vacant stadium offered a perfect opportunity for one specific company and a team they'd already created. A family-friendly team with a family-friendly logo, utilizing the newly fashionable teal color for their jerseys, thank you San Jose and Charlotte, located opposite Disneyland in a town that could now support 2 hockey franchises. McNall picked up the phone and began pitching Disney on bringing their Mighty Ducks to life. Enter Michael Eisner, Disney's larger-than-life CEO, who had a flair for spectacle and an empire of magical proportions. Eisner viewed acquiring a hockey team as a way of bringing entertainment and economic activity to the city, while demonstrating Disney's dedication to the community. It was a cross-promotional platform between the movie, the team, and Disneyland, which was right in Anaheim's backyard. All the pieces fit perfectly. Disney's marketing power was important for the NHL, and Bruce McNall, he received half of the $50 million fee Disney paid for the Ducks as a sweetener for having to share the LA market. It all happened so quickly. The Mighty Ducks movie was released in October 1992, and 2 months later, Disney was bringing the real team to the NHL. And what followed was, frankly, insane.
The Duck Pine in Anaheim. I would now... It's Disney, what can I do? Now, this has been very controversial, the name of this team. As a matter of fact, we hadn't made up our minds as early as 7 o'clock this morning. The name of this team is officially the Mighty Ducks.
When Eisner unveiled the Mighty Ducks name on March 1st, 1993, it was quintessential Disney. Part pet rally, part theatrical production. There he was, alongside NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman, McNall, and team chairman Jack Lindquist, blowing duck calls to a crowd of onlookers. The press, predictably, had a field day. Purists grumbled that the NHL was descending into a Mickey Mouse operation, and critics scoffed at the idea of a team named after a children's movie. Chicago Blackhawks Stu Grimson remembered exactly where he was the first time he heard the Mighty Ducks.
It was the guy in our locker room going, I can't believe the league is going to let these guys name the franchise after a kid's movie.
Grimson was then selected by the Mighty Ducks in the 1993 expansion draft. When it came time to unveil the team's logo and uniforms, Disney knew they had to do something truly unique to differentiate the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim from the rest of the NHL. This was no simple logo. It was a bold, cartoon-inspired design that would quickly become iconic. Taking inspiration from the success of other cartoon-style logos like the San Jose Sharks in '91, the team's primary logo featured a hockey mask, shaped like a duck's face, based on the 1991 Disney animated series Darkwing Duck. On the one hand, it was a fun logo that felt more at home in a children's movie than in a professional sports league, but on the other, it was completely unique and set the Ducks apart from the typical gritty logos of the NHL. The color scheme, a blend of what the team called eggplant and jade, but is really just purple, teal and white, again, was lifted from the top sellers in sports merchandise at the time. But while it seemed laughable at first, it didn't take long for the Ducks to prove that the name and logo weren't just gimmicks. Merchandise for the team sold like hotcakes, driving up sales across the league. The Ducks jerseys immediately became a top seller, so when the Mighty Ducks 2 rolled into theaters in 1994, it was no surprise to see the team wearing exact replicas of the NHL team's sweaters. That's the power of Disney's marketing machine. Their first big step came at the 1993 NHL entry draft, when they selected Paul Kariya, a highly skilled forward who would become one of the league's brightest young stars. The Ducks finished their first season with 33 wins. Attendance for home games was stellar, with 99% of tickets sold in their inaugural season. So in 1996, the Ducks doubled down on star power, trading for Temu Selanne, another electrifying talent. Together, Kariya and Selanne formed one of the most dynamic duos of the late 1990s. And while the team didn't crack the NHL's elite tier, they were competitive and entertaining, and their two headliners were undeniably among the league's top players. Disney, flush with revenue from the franchise's strong marketing and merchandising success, had no problem paying their hefty salaries to keep the shining stars in Anaheim. And if the stars were sticking around, it's only right that they got a brand new jersey to wear. As the team settled into the NHL, they continued to embrace their distinctive Disney-fied aesthetic. So in 1996, the Ducks introduced a third jersey, which featured a cartoonish rendition of the team's beloved mascot, a duck bursting through the ice, the Wildwing Jersey. Unfortunately, the jersey wasn't embraced by fans, and it was only used in 7 games before being retired. We did, however, get one of the greatest jersey matchups of all time, with the Wild Wing facing off against the LA Kings Burger King on January 27th, 1996. And who scored? Who else? Wayne Gretzky.
Hebert got a piece of it. He pulled it out from behind him, but it got over the line, and the LA Kings with a 1-0 lead.
And he was leaning too. Watch, he has to reach out for the puck. Oh, man. Well, that's twice as bad as I thought it was. That was a cross-check to the chin and the neck.
By the turn of the millennium, the Ducks were struggling. Paul Kariya, who was plagued by a series of concussions that limited his availability, while Temu Selanne, who'd led the league in goals in 98 and 99, was losing his scoring touch. In response, the team traded Selanne in 2001. But despite these setbacks, the Ducks made an unexpected playoff run in 2003, reaching Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals before falling short. And that game marked Paul Kariya's last game as a Mighty Duck. After 9 seasons, he left Anaheim as the team's all-time leader in games played, goals, assists, and points. Around the time Paul Kariya was jumping onto the ice in Colorado Burgundy, the NHL was struggling again after several player lockouts, and Disney was actively seeking to sell the team. Another league-wide lockout in 2004-2005, which resulted in the cancellation of the entire season, proved to be the final straw. During a lockout, Disney sold the franchise to billionaire Henry Samueli, a software developer, for $75 million. And so, in 2006, under Henry Samueli's guidance, the Ducks dropped the mighty and underwent a dramatic transformation. The purple and teal, gone, replaced with black and gold, the new primary colours that reflected a more mature, polished identity. The rebrand also saw the death of Darkwing and the introduction of a simplified logo, a duck footprint in the shape of a D. The new direction was immediately validated by the team's on-ice success, which brings us back to this moment. The same year as the black and gold rebrand, the now Anaheim Ducks are one saved penalty shot away from hoisting the first Stanley Cup in franchise history. Armed with previous foe Scott Niedermayer from the Devils team that beat them to the Cup in 2003, and original Ducks legend Temu Selanne reunited via trade from Colorado in 2005. Much like Charlie Conway taking his own penalty shot in the movie, Selanne was the spiritual leader of the team. As a beloved veteran and fan favourite, Selanne's pursuit of the Stanley Cup became a rallying cry for his teammates. Ducks goaltender Sebastian Giguere, remember him? Summed up the team's motivation. "We don't have any better teammate. He's a guy who always has fun. I'd love to see Temu win the thing, so here we are. It's up to Giggy to shut out the Senators, seal the win, and deliver a Stanley Cup to his best friend Temu, as Antoine Vermette skates up the ice towards the Ducks' goal. 2 penalty shots, 2 championships, 1 team. The Mighty Ducks. In the 1992 film, Conway skates across the blue line, up into the slot, breaks right with a puck on his backhand. Antoine Vermette does the exact same. Conway flicks the puck onto his forehand and glides it top cheddar into the Hawks' net. Ducks win. Antoine Vermette does the exact same, except as he glides the puck onto his forehand, it drifts, slides and escapes his grasp, clattering into the boards. Jiggy punches the air. Ottawa's turned away and their fate is sealed. Ducks win.
The Anaheim Ducks are the Stanley Cup champions.
It's a script almost written by Disney themselves. The Ducks, after years of skepticism and ridicule, had finally scaled the NHL's highest peak. Side note, Antoine Vermette would get his revenge against the Ducks 8 years later in 2015, when his Game 4 double overtime winner for the Blackhawks would help punch Chicago's ticket to their own Stanley Cup title. But enough about that, it ruins our Disney happy ending. As the years passed, the Ducks continued to experiment with their look. In 2013, they celebrated their 20th anniversary with a jersey that returned to the original purple and teal colours, a nostalgic tribute to their roots. The team also featured in the 2014 Stadium Series, choosing to debut an all-orange jersey for the first time, reflecting their ties to Orange County and the Anaheim area. The next year, the Ducks adopted the orange third jersey full-time and brought back the Darkwing Duck logo. But this time, no press conference, no press release, no duck calls, which eventually led to a full-time adoption of the style in 2024. A perfect example of how the Ducks had grown from their whimsical, Disney-inspired origins through a successful Stanley Cup winning run in the mid-2000s into a team that embraced both their history and the future. From their humble beginnings in a Disney boardroom to their Stanley Cup win in 2007, the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim remain one of the most unique and beloved teams in NHL history. You just can't think of 1990s hockey without Paul Kariya or the iconic Darkwing Duck jersey. And that's not to say they haven't evolved. From the original purple and teal Disney era to their sleek redefinition in black and gold for the new millennium, their 2007 Stanley Cup victory wasn't just a win for the team, or Temu Selanne. It was a validation of their unique place in hockey lore. It was a moment where the line between fiction and reality blurred, as the storybook team overcame years of skepticism to lift the NHL's most coveted trophy. 2 penalty shots, 2 championships, 1 unforgettable story. The Mighty Ducks. Quack quack. Hey, thanks for tapping in. If you enjoyed this video, check out whichever one YouTube's recommended to you right here. Subscribe to catch our latest videos every 2 weeks, or come join our community on Instagram, where about 4,000 of us chat about sports aesthetics. But until next time, peace.